Hi, guys. Thank you for joining us. We have been looking forward to having a chat with you guys, giving you an update as to what's going on. We'll elaborate on what has been developing with the project recently and disclose as much as we can to you about the plans we have and the progress that has been made. So Herman has joined us, and he's going to let us know what he's been busy about and what's in the pipeline, and give us a general strategic and development focused overview of what's going on with the project. So I'll just introduce Herman there now.
Thank you, Owen, and thank you for taking the lead over the past few weeks with these AMAs. As you mentioned, the team has been busy. The work has, let's say, not been what we've relayed over the past many months. I would say the engineering work has taken a backseat on Cherry. Of course, it is the primary goal of Cherry, which is to develop a viable and more than viable, sustainable, usable decentralized storage platform. More so perhaps than somewhat advised. Certainly more, it's more of a core objective of ours to develop our platform, develop our technology, than has been overall the pattern of the industry in the past years of bear market. I did mention we are changing, or I mentioned I called it putting it in the backseat. That's not quite correct, but whereas many of the updates in the past were development and technically related, today's the beginning of a series of updates that will focus on the positioning of Cherry, and the development or rather redevelopment of the Cherry brand, to finally get these products built over the past many years into the hands of people with the least friction possible, granted by the superb and rigorous effort put in technically, but also by spreading awareness of Cherry to customers that may need it but may not yet know about Cherry. The exact strategy will sort of unfold by itself. I don't want to preempt. I don't want to signal too much in advance. However, the overall strategy, the overall trajectory will be the following. Cherry will become strictly a storage protocol. It'll be rebranded as such, and thus you can expect new brand material such as a website and other documentation that will reflect Cherry not so much for its broader mission of creating a distributed network that is an execution layer in its own right. And instead, Cherry will be more simply, and I think far more intuitively for developers and people who seek a more simple way of explaining Cherry, it will become a storage platform. It'll be decentralized. It'll be distributed and trustless. And it'll be interoperable with all the other systems as we described and discussed and announced and developed ad nauseum over the past many years. However, all these principles will be proper and belong to the Cherry storage or to the storage module. And that's all that everybody needs to know. Cherry's storage. Everything else, which basically describes how Cherry does storage in this unique and new way, such as uh, um, bridging and relaying information from general purpose networks to its own execution layer, maintaining an execution layer based on substrate with layer zero infrastructure and its own specialized parachains that deploy specialized computation on arbitrary data that is fetched and then returned to external networks. All this description is just ancillary, is just a detail on how Cherry does, and Cherry fundamentally does storage. Cherry will be therefore shifting away from a network in a network brand, and more so to a service brand where we maintain storage oracles across other general purpose networks, much like Chainlink, much like the Graph. And whereas Chainlink and the Graph provide oracles for data streams like financial information and other sorts of truth, Cherry will be much more basic, much more sort of, we can call it foundational as a technology, where the information it processes, it receives and returns, and the operations it helps developers perform on these data is entirely arbitrary, and it resides in the its structure resides in the programming the data owners assigned to it. I'm quite confident that over the next few weeks you'll see I'm intentionally vague and intentionally non-descriptive of how exactly all this will happen, but you'll see this idea or the shift from our previous more vague, greater, ample description of Cherry to this more narrow and, in my opinion, understandable, though perhaps not understandable to you after my description of it. This will help. This will help Cherry gain or polish its brand, gain traction once again, so that we can then carry on with the second and third steps of this Cherry evolution. Now I'm stuttering, I'm hesitating because there's many things I want to keep secret. I don't want to disclose everything just yet, mostly because there's a lot of uncertainty even in the first step, and we'll be adjusting our strategy as we see this first step unfolding. In essence, the second step will be a release for free and open source of a lot of applications that we over time have built for enterprise customers using the Cherry storage module. These range from a peer-to-peer browser-based sharing, file sharing system. We have a storage, so permanent storage and calendaring suite that we can approximate to the services of Proton, Proton Drive, Proton Calendar. A mailing system could be deployed on it, but we would not yet. We've also designed a distributed database or database management system architecture. This will be less as an application, but more as code, and then the relative documentation that may assist developers in deploying this code using the Cherry storage. and so on and so forth. These are just three. There will be at least 5 or 6 of these, again, applications we built before for enterprise customers, things that are complete products that work in production in high stakes environment. We built them based on Cherry and to sustain Cherry in this open source but enterprise customer base model where we had to make money to fund the basic research of Cherry storage and also fund its use and its let's call it exploration by applying Cherry storage on these or through these applications for these customers. The third step, maybe I won't disclose now, but it is the deployment of the additional applications. Let's put it that way. Applications that are not simply open sourcing of existing applications built for enterprise customers with limited benefit, with limited monetary value, since they're all open source and all quite simple, as they are in this second step of Cherry's rebranding and Cherry's renovation. The third, or these applications that fall within this third step, are more ample. There are 2 that for sure will attract a lot of attention, and as such, we hope that the initial efforts made to renovate Cherry, polish Cherry's brand, and with that comes a lot of other things that I haven't mentioned, but I hope you'll soon discover them. We'll have gathered enough impetus from these initial steps so that these new, let's call them flagship applications, can gain significant momentum, so that as the chair renovation comes to a close, let's say, all these steps are satisfied and complete, then what will then carry Cherry, beside its storage model that is more of an iterative process rather than something that we can just announce and say, oh, we now have storage that is radically different from any previous type of storage we've had. We've had storage admittedly for about 2 years, and we've been developing it over ever since, and we've had limited success in applying it on decentralized goals, but as I mentioned, also in commercial and enterprise areas and venues. These 2, at least these 2 flagships, will allow Cherry to demonstrate its purpose as a player within the industry, as a significant player within the industry, and they themselves will be, I think, items to contend with. Their essential infrastructure, at least one is, that does not exist, and its addition to the industry, to the crypto industry, would not solely derive a lot of benefit to holders of Cherry, and eventually perhaps the holders of the new cryptocurrency that would emerge from at least one of these flagship products, but would by aligning itself with the current trends of cryptocurrency in this industry, focusing more on payments, on store of value, on the properties of trustlessness and anonymity, or at least pseudonymity of holding and transferring funds in crypto, would establish a new source of value that will sustain these projects in their future developments, and Cherry, which is the cradle from which they're born and the infrastructure that will sustain them. So with that, I understand it was quite vague, but hopefully you understand the various moving pieces. I've not given a timeline because it's difficult to even hold ourselves to internal deadlines. Committing to any publicly seems unwise. But all this will happen. We'll adjust our tactics and these steps, either moving their implementation forwards or backwards, as we deem fit, as we see the market respond to them. But overall, I'm very optimistic. Let me remind you that Cherry is backed by outstanding venture capital firms. These are together with our advisors, these are industry veterans that have chosen to back Cherry, chosen to back our team at the beginning, about 2 years ago, and still back us now. We've been in direct contact with each recently and explained, as I've explained to you now, perhaps in more detail, some in less, the principles of the chair renovation. The response is positive, as is theirs. I can easily assume that the response of a market where no great new there has been no great new innovation for the past 2 years, I would say, where capital has dried up, and therefore few projects building and bringing to market new technologies can boast a similar backing as ours. Things look good. Things look good. I'll stop now. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them on the Telegram group, where I or any other of the team will be happy to answer. But otherwise, I'd say keep your eyes on the ball. We're very close. I've read dissatisfaction over the past months and weeks on the various groups and chats and Twitter, etc. I've said this before. I share your disappointment. A change was necessary. I believe this change will be I'm optimistic. I'll tell you that. That's it. Okay, I'll leave you guys to Owen. We'll chat again.
Thank you very much, Herman. That was very very encouraging, and it was, I think, very interesting to hear it laid out in a kind of clear format as to what the near future will bring for Cherry. And I think it was explained in quite a clear way that I think that everybody we can say will be able to get their head around, that there is these different layers that build upon each other, which largely correspond with kind of the different phases of development, which also inform the different drivers of what we hope will be growth of Cherry and its ecosystem now and into the future. That we do have these different initiatives, so to speak, whether that is the first that you mentioned, of course, is Cherry refocusing on the storage use case, which I think will certainly at least make it much easier to explain and to sell to people. And then further beyond that are the enterprise open source applications, which, given the appetite for use cases and tools that actually use Web3 technology in a user-friendly way and in a productive way. Given that appetite, I think that we will see a lot of interest coming towards the ecosystem, and that will drive energy in the ecosystem. And then finally, of course, this is just the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. There are many other very large, or very significant, I would say, more than large, because they're not large yet, but very significant use cases or tools, projects, sub-projects being built with Cherry technology that will be the flagships, as Herman put it, going forward. So this means that, we have listened to what our community has been saying, what our large investors have said to us, and then our community of retail investors and long-term community members have said. We have been working very diligently and energetically on this for the past month now, when we made the decision to push forward in this way. And from here on in, you will start to see the fruits, or the deliverables, so to speak, of this new overall strategic portfolio. You will start to see that unfolding quite quickly. As Herman said, it's been pretty intensive in terms of us discussing with our major advisors, our largest institutional investors and the like. We are focused on delivering these things in a stepwise and constructive manner. Obviously, the first elements, or the most foundational elements, must be delivered first, and then we'll build from there. In terms of what you guys will see, Herman wisely said that we're not putting a specific deadline on these things, and certainly it would be difficult to put a deadline on it, not just because these things are somewhat unpredictable in terms of their rollout, but more fundamentally, it is the fact that it takes multiple deliverables to come good on the vision that we've outlined. Certainly in the near future, this will require a rebrand, a new website, and of course, increased activity on social media. We are very busy with the overall overhaul of the project, so those things will come in their good time. In the meantime, we will divulge as much details for you as possible, but this is the announcement of where we're going to go in the coming months, in the coming weeks, in the coming months. We will deliver things as quickly as possible, but we're not going to over egg the pudding, so to speak, and tell you to anticipate something in the next couple of days when this will take a little bit longer than that. I can't give a firm commitment to any specific deadlines, but I will say that you will start to see both discussion of our deliverables and the actual delivery of our deliverables in the coming month. Someone was asking yesterday if we could expect this announcement that has been given today, if we could expect it in April. And of course, yes, it was. It's the 3rd of April now, so that's already done. And certainly this month, you'll start to see a lot more action in terms of what we're showing you guys, whether completed or incomplete thus far. And we put in a lot of work behind the scenes recently, in recent weeks and months. And now it's thankfully time that we can start showing this to the public and first and foremost, our community. So expect those first steps that I mentioned a few minutes ago. We're going to try and tighten things up as well. I don't think that Herman will do an AMA next week because we're so busy. If I think that there's things that would merit using up your time to listen to me on next Wednesday afternoon, then I will give more info on that. But there's plenty of things that need to be up that you guys need to be updated on, aside from the announcement today. So I will push on with that, and I will talk to you guys about something next week, regardless. Some kind of developments that I'm able to share. So thank you all for your patience recently. I hope that you agree that this strategy that we've unveiled, I hope you agree that this is where we should be going. It's a time of tremendous energy in the project. I think that this announcement today is certainly the largest strategic update that we've delivered in, I would say, a year, maybe since last September. And given the added increase in energy in the market, there is nothing stopping us from delivering on this as soon as we can. So thank you for bearing with us so far. I know that a lot of people will be pleased with the future direction of the project as outlined now. These things are very tangible. That means that in the near future you can use Cherry technology if you haven't used it before. You can share links with your friends for tools that they can use as well. And we'll keep pushing on and give you as much details as possible as soon as possible. I'm quite busy this evening. I've got more work to do. And then I've got a family engagement. I will try, however, to recap, summarize, etc. this AMA and have it certainly this evening by bedtime. So if you're waiting for a full recap, then you can expect that in the next few hours, 4 or 5 hours at the latest. So I'm going to leave it there. Thanks again for the support you've given. We're really, really happy about where things are going. We're happy about the progress we've made and the decisions that we made before that in recent weeks. And we're looking forward to showing you guys and proving all of the effort that we've put into things and all the thought, etc. So I'll leave it there. And I will talk to you guys, as Herman said. We can field as many questions as possible in the Telegram group or whatever. Or you can send me a personal message as well. And we'll try and reveal or address any questions as much as we possibly can. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thank you very much. And I'll speak to you all later. Cheers.